Hey, Roger, good to start out with you. We've got listener questions again. Luke wants to know, my wife and I have two children who are 12 and 8. We've been saving in 529 since they were young, and the accounts have been boosted by contributions from grandparents over the years. We currently have about $85,000 in our 12-year-old's account and $52,000 in our 8-year-old's. I know we can change the beneficiary in an overfunded 529, but I wouldn't mind having that money myself instead. Is there a savings threshold you think makes sense to stop funding the 529s and redirect contributions elsewhere, like a brokerage account?
This is a really good question.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dilemma that good savers are tackled with. Yeah. I'm in a similar situation with my kids' 529 plans. They're a little younger. I think the first thing to remember, there's no universal cap on a 529 plan. Mm-hmm. There's nothing saying you can't put as much money in here as you want to. There's some limitations, but for all intents and purposes, you can't oversave.
Right.
There's a couple ways to handle this. First, you really need to break down and think about what are the costs of college going to be. So that's where you have to have a little bit of an accurate reflection of where is my child academically. And as a 12-year-old, you're probably starting to get a little bit of a grasp of what they like to do, what type of a student they are, what kind of habits. And I'm not saying you're determining at 12.
Right.
But if you're a below average student at 12, the likelihood that you're going to be above average student when you're 18 probably isn't there. And there's tests out there, obviously, kids are taking.
Yeah.
But try to figure out what you think it's going to cost. Okay, that's the first thing. So if you know your child's going to go to a private school because you went to a private school, probably not a reason to stop saving in a 529 plan. In this case, though, I'm assuming that's not the situation because they're already worried about it being overfunded. Correct? Okay. So there's a couple ways to tackle this. One, if you want to stop saving, you can, and you could put that savings into a brokerage account, as they mentioned. The only disadvantage of putting it into a brokerage account is that you lose the tax-free growth of that investment.
Right.
Well, is that the end of the world? No. Most people are in a 15% capital gains bracket. So it's probably not that big of a deal, especially for the 12-year-old, because the 12-year-old only has 6-ish years to go to college. Well, they're probably putting in $250 to $300 a month based upon these numbers would be my guess. Just extrapolating some data. So you're only going to save another $18,000 plus interest. So it's probably not that big of a deal. That's step one. Step two, you could think about, if I do just continue to save in this 529 plan and my child doesn't use it or doesn't go to school, what's the worst thing that happens? This is your upside down question, Jonas. What's the worst thing that happens? You would pay penalty and interest only on the gains.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, guess what? You probably still have more money saved than you would have if you didn't start anything. So you're still better off.
Yeah.
So those are some things that I would think about when you're determining whether to switch. But I can tell you, in my family, we have this exact same dilemma. And it's trying to figure out what is the break or the cutoff when we're going to switch from 529 to a brokerage. And if I went out and ran, when my kids were born, I went out to our financial planning software, just plugged in their age, 4 years, tuition, room, board. What's the cost? What do you think that was 9 years ago? 4 years in state, tuition, room, and board.
That was probably 60,000.
Projected out 18 years in the future.
Oh, wow. That's probably half. I mean,
204,000. That was the projected cost.
Wow.
Which, if you add in room, board, tuition, University of Iowa, I want to say it's like 27,000 a year.
Yeah.
Well, I still have 9 years to go. So my guess is it's going to be pretty close.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm basing those numbers off of. And it doesn't all have to be covered by 529. I'm kind of living in the world that if I could cover 50 to 70% of that cost with the 529, the other 50 to 70%, I could save in a brokerage or I can cash flow.
Right.
your personal situation. How could I cash flow this?
Or scholarships or something. I mean, a million other things.
Well, I went to Kirkwood for 2 years. Oh, that's pretty much free.
Yeah.
I mean,
community college.
Well, my dad
much
taught
less
there.
Expensive.
Well, my dad taught there.
Yeah.
And I have a great story. So I wanted to go to a private college.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to use the name of the private college. I still would have liked to go to that private college. Went up there for a visit. It's in a hilly part of Iowa. And I never forget, my dad gave me the bag phone. This is back in 1996 or 97. You had the Verizon bag phone. It was like $1.25 a minute to talk on it. And my dad is like,
on the way home.
He's like, on the way home, you can call me, tell you how it went. So I went out with the football team the night before. They were the ones who hosted me. The next morning, I met with like the financial aid people. And they're like, yeah, it's going to be $44,000. I'm like, oh, for all 4 years? And they're like, no, per year. So I get out of this small town. I go up the hill, call my dad. He goes, you going there? I'm like, nah, I'm going to Kirkwood. I'm living at home. It's free. But what my parents did is they gave me allocated money for me to spend at college, paid for my in-state tuition. Like it was paid for. So the decision was, do I want to go $100,000+ in debt to get an education?
Right.
Because I had a budget. I think what's one thing that a lot of parents overlook, they don't give their kids parameters on where to go. Hey, we're going to provide X. If you want to go somewhere else, you're going to have to figure it out.
Right.
Unfortunately, most families just slide into college. They haven't planned for it. Like, oh, well, yeah, you're going to go. Here's your loan document. Talk to you in 5 years. Because my dad was an educator in the college school system, he already had a knowledge of what was going to happen. So I kind of guided that decision process. And I could have went there, but I would have had to take on the additional cost of doing it. That was easy for me. I'm not going into debt.
No, not going into debt.
Yeah, having no plan is exactly what my wife and her family did with college. It worked out well, but you're exactly right, Roger. You're just, if you're planning on approaching college and just taking a student loan out, you're looking at, our family, we were looking at over $40,000 in student loan debt, and it was well worth it. I mean, don't get me wrong, but instead of, getting a chest full of gold when I married Jody, it was a little bit different, and it was basically, it worked out really well.
Dowry?
No dowry.
No dowry.
What is this?
But we rolled up our sleeves as a financial guy, and we made a plan to chip away at that student loan. And I love when we have questions like that, because I think that any type of a plan is better than no plan at all.
So I think I leave it like this, Luke. Once you take a look at your 529 and you believe your cost is reasonably aligned with what you have saved, then you could switch to the brokerage for any of those surprise things that may be out there. And then you'd still have the ability for you to keep that money if you didn't want to give it to the beneficiary.
And there's some psychology involved too. The 529 contributions could be automatic. So if he stops that, then he's going to have to automatically start a brokerage account contribution. So we really don't like to see, or at least I don't like to see, people stopping saving money in any situation whatsoever.
I believe that you should flip the switch. Like we literally had this discussion in a car ride about a week ago. And it was, well, we'll just start saving it in their own. We have a joint brokerage account with a TOD endorsement. So if we both get hit by a car, it goes to that child. It's our beneficiary on it. That's how we keep track of whose money's who.
Right.
And that's what we said. Well, if we're already saving it, why would we stop?
A couple of follow-up questions for you. What's a beneficiary change when they're talking about this in a 529? What does that do? How does that affect anything? They talked about changing beneficiary.
That's actually a very good question. 529. I don't tell you that often. 529 plans are, the ownership is by the person who set up the plan. So I own the 529 plan. The beneficiary is who will receive the funds. Okay. I can change, just like life insurance, a beneficiary at any time. So I'm going to use Luke's situation. Luke has a 12-year-old and an 8-year-old. Let's say Luke's 12-year-old has $85,000 still when they go to college. The 12-year-old doesn't go. They can change the beneficiary to the 8-year-old if they want to. So you can change the beneficiary
And that's not a negative.
Nope, doesn't affect
implication.
anything.
Okay, gotcha.
Nothing negative would happen until they pull money out for a non-qualified educational expense.
Okay.
And once again, the only negative is you're paying tax in an investment,
Right.
which you would have paid tax of some kind if you had in a brokerage account.
Right.
The second negative is a 10% penalty on the gains.
Okay.
It's not that big of a deal. If you had 30,000 in gains, it's $3,000. You still had more money in your pocket by doing this than if you wouldn't have.
Okay. The other thing, too, is that I think that there are a lot of people who do know this, but there's some who don't know this. This is designed for 4-year and for community college. What happens if these individuals decide that, you know what, I'm going to go to the trades, or maybe I'm going to become an entrepreneur, or you know what, I'm just not going to use this at all, this child?
So first off, community college and 4-year, that's not correct. You can use it for vocational.
Okay.
For trades, as long
Okay.
as you're going to school.
You can use it for trades.
Yep.
Okay.
Also,
thank
you can use it K through 12.
Okay.
So let's say you have a 12-year-old and they're going to go to a very expensive private
Day
college.
school. Yeah.
You can use that for
Okay.
that as well. So
Gotcha.
there's latitude there. It's fairly flexible. You know, if you have room, board, books, tuition, food, pays
Yeah.
for all that. Here's the one thing you can't do with it.
What's that?
Because everybody's trying to work the system.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't go buy a house for your kid that
Okay.
you own and your kid pays you rent from it.
Yeah. Okay.
That doesn't work. Trust me. I looked through the angles, Doug. I'm like, so do I buy a house and then they pay us
Thurston
rent?
Howell the third try that?
Exactly.
This 529.
That's interesting.
I'm sure Casey could come up with some complicated legal strategy.
Tell you what, Luke, it's a great question. Thank you for sending it in. But for me, the ultimate thing is get in touch with your friends at Premier Investments in Wealth Management. How many times have they run through and around and over these situations? They've got it covered from soup to nuts. So rather than you having to crunch the numbers and answer all the questions, that's something that they can do. Get your financial plan together, especially because it sounds like you've done such a good job saving for your kids up to this point. Your financial plan can include this, plus your retirement. PremierIWM.com is the website to go. Premier Investments in Wealth Management. Call 800-383-6590. Make your appointment either online at PremierIWM.com or over the phone. Again, 800-383-6590. Premier Investments in Wealth Management, named to Forbes 2025 Best in State Wealth Management Teams.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. The opinions voiced in this show are for general information purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial or tax advisor prior to investing. Premier Investments in Wealth Management and LPL Financial do not provide specific individualized tax or legal advice. We suggest that you discuss your specific situation with a qualified tax or legal advisor. Rebalancing a portfolio may cause investors to incur tax liabilities and or transaction costs and does not assure a profit or protect against loss. Economic forecasts set forth may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that strategies promoted will be successful. All performance referenced is historical and is not a guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. There is no assurance that the techniques and strategies discussed are suitable for all investors or will yield positive outcomes. The purchase of certain securities may be required to affect some of the strategies. Investing involves risks, including possible loss of principal. There is no guarantee that a diversified portfolio will enhance overall returns or outperform a non-diversified portfolio. Diversification does not protect against market risk. Prior to investing in a 529 plan, investors should consider whether the investor's or designated beneficiary's home state offers any state tax or other state benefits such as financial aid, scholarship funds, and protection from creditors that are only available for investments in such states' qualified tuition program. Withdrawals used for qualified expenses are federally tax-free. Tax treatment at the state level may vary. Please consult with your tax advisor before investing. Forbes Best in State Wealth Management Teams ranking was developed by Shook Research and is based on in-person, virtual, and telephone due diligence meetings and a ranking algorithm that includes a measure of each team's best practices, client retention, industry experience, review of compliance records, firm nominations, and quantitative criteria, including assets under management and revenue generated for their firm. Investment performance is not a criterion because client objectives and risk tolerances vary, and advisors rarely have audited performance reports. Shook's research and rankings provide opinions intended to help investors choose the right financial advisor and team, and are not indicative of future performance or representative of any one client's experience. Past performance is not an indication of future results. Neither Forbes nor Shook Research receive compensation in exchange for placement on the ranking. For more information, please see www.shookresearch.com. Shook is a registered trademark of Shook Research, LLC.